reasons.
All of us. We need this.
There aren't enough of us left to be throwing lives away, but there...
Iron Lung is imagined as a deeply unsettling and claustrophobic psychological horror film that immerses its audience in a world of confinement, dread, and creeping existential terror. From its very first moments, the tone is stark and oppressive, echoing with the sounds of machinery, breath, and silence so thick it feels alive. The setting is not vast landscapes or open horizons, but instead the tight, metal-cold interior of a submarine-like vessel where every movement, every sound, and every failure of light and air becomes a reminder of human fragility and isolation. The story centers around a single protagonist, a lone operator trapped inside a device known only as the Iron Lung, a cylindrical prison of steel and circuitry, designed to navigate a hostile environment that lies beyond human survival. The world outside is uninhabitable. Conditions are hostile, toxic, or otherwise lethal. The Iron Lung serves as both protector and prison, offering the only means to explore, to exist, to even breathe beyond the tenuous safety of hermetically sealed walls. The device becomes a character in itself, its breathing rhythms, mechanical beeps, flickering lights, and unresponsive panels reflecting the emotional and physical state of the person within. The protagonist wakes inside the Iron Lung without clear memory of how they arrived or what exactly lies outside. Anxiety settles in immediately because the vessel's interior is cramped, lit only by dim, humming panels that cast long shadows in sudden darkness. Air is limited, temperature fluctuates, and time blurs into a cycle of routine checks, half-remembered procedures, and the constant sound of one's own heartbeat. At first, the protagonist's goal is simple: maintain the Iron Lung, keep systems operational, and find a way to understand what happened. But as hours bleed into days, the focus sharpens into survival and the desperate search for meaning. The film's atmosphere is a masterclass in sensory tension. Visuals emphasize the cold metal of the machine, the thin glass of the viewing port that offers glimpses of a world beyond comprehension, and the tiny control panels that both promise control and confirm helplessness. Sound design plays a central role, amplifying every whir of gears, every click of a failing switch, and every breath that doesn't belong to a human lung. Silence, when it comes, is not relief, it's a threat. As the protagonist explores the interior systems of the Iron Lung, fragments of memory come in disjointed flashes. There are hints of a past life, interactions with others, betrayal, desperation, and a mission that once felt urgent but now feels impossibly distant. These memories are triggered by certain alarms, physical jolts, or the faintest recollection of voices once heard. Memory becomes unreliable, blurring the line between dream and reality, forcing both the character and the audience to question what is true. Every attempt to patch communication systems or access logs leads to dead ends. Faint static, unintelligible signals, and corrupted data fragments suggest that an outside world might still be listening, but it never fully connects. The Iron Lung's map, if it can be called that, is little more than a series of coordinates pointing deeper into unknown territory, or perhaps back toward a past that the protagonist cannot fully recall. This uncertainty becomes a source of terror. The fear of the unknown morphs into the dread of remembering too much or too little. Isolation takes a psychological toll. The protagonist begins to speak aloud, not out of necessity, but as a way to anchor sanity. Every system check becomes a ritual, every shadow a possible threat, every moment a reminder of vulnerability. The Iron Lung's walls, meant to be protection, become a cage where the weight of existence feels heavier than the vacuum outside. Fear is not introduced through jump scares or monsters, but through the relentless intimacy of confinement and the mind's slow erosion when stripped of connection, context, and certainty. At critical junctures, power fluctuations force the protagonist to choose between risking a system reboot or facing a slow fade into darkness and suffocation. These decisions are not easy, and their consequences ripple throughout the narrative, shaping the protagonist's mental state. Each failing system becomes a character in its own right, demanding maintenance, attention, and sometimes sacrifice. The Iron Lung's life support systems are both savior and executioner. They keep the protagonist alive only as long as they continue to function. In moments of clarity, the protagonist records voice logs, fragments of thought, and attempts to communicate with an unseen other. These messages reveal fear, hope, regret, and defiance. They are intimate, fragmented pieces of humanity that resist obliteration by circumstance. Each recording becomes a testament to endurance and a way to mark time, to give shape to an experience that is otherwise formless and terrifying. The Iron Lung's exterior environment remains largely unseen, but its presence is always felt. Through the viewport, corrupted images hint at desolate wastelands, swirling toxic storms, or void-like emptiness that defies description. Whether the surface is the result of war, climate collapse, cosmic event, or something more unknowable remains ambiguous. The fear of what lies beyond the protective shell becomes a constant companion, an external threat that may be worse, or simply different from the internal one. As the narrative progresses, the protagonist's resolve deepens. Survival is no longer enough. Understanding becomes necessary. They attempt to piece together fragmented maps, corrupted databanks, half-remembered names, and broken coordinates. Every discovery, no matter how small, feels like a victory against the oppressive machinery of fate. The Iron Lung systems reveal traces of prior occupants, logs suggesting that others once struggled, succeeded, or perhaps failed inside similar confinement. These echoes of others serve as both warning and inspiration. Tension escalates when critical life support systems begin to fail faster than they can be repaired. Air recycling units falter, temperature controls malfunction, and the hum of electricity itself begins to fade. The protagonist faces the ultimate confrontation, choice between attempting a risky external exit or remaining inside to face inevitable failure. This conflict is not just physical but philosophical. What does it mean to choose life within limitation or risk death for a chance at freedom? The climax is both visceral and metaphysical. The protagonist initiates an emergency override, pushing the Iron Lung systems to collapse or transform. The vessel groans, circuits overload, and the metal shell seems to breathe its last. In the final moments, memory and reality collide, offering clarity, confusion, and resolution all at once. Whether the protagonist emerges into light, remains within a transformed Iron Lung, or fades into the silence of the world outside is left uncertain and ambiguous ending that lingers in the mind. Iron Lung as a film is less about spectacle and more about internal confrontation. It explores themes of isolation, memory, identity, endurance, and the psychological impact of confinement. It turns the machine into more than a vessel. It becomes a mirror, holding a reflection of humanity under duress. The horror is not external monsters or invading forces, but the relentless confrontation with self-circumstance and the fragile line between consciousness and oblivion. The emotional weight of Iron Lung comes from its insistence on intimate terror. It shows how a solitary struggle against systems, space, and time can be as profound and harrowing as any battle against visible foes. The film is imagined as a meditation on fear, survival, and what remains when all external certainties have been stripped away, leaving only the heartbeat within steel, the mind within silence, and the human will to endure even when every system tells it not to.